You're listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, episode 39. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where positivity and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey with the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha. I am your host, Iya Omileti Olubumi. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. I am Iya Omileti. Thank you for spending some of your time with me to talk about all things Orisha, spirituality, and growth. So, turn up the volume in your car, put on your earbuds, and grab a cup of coffee or tea, just something good to drink, and let's chat. Today's episode is being brought to you by our own Orisha Wisdom's top 5 things to know before choosing a godparent. It is our newest resource available to help you choose a godparent in our traditions, which is a very important thing to do. How do you get your hands on this? Simple. Just go to www.orishawisdom.com/godparent choice. On this episode, we are going to tackle one of your questions. For those who are new to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, Ask a Priest is a series on the podcast which is directly working with you, the community. Coming into the traditions can be a lot of things. It can be scary, it can be confusing, it can be overwhelming. Something that is bound to come about are questions and more questions. So I created a series called Ask a Priest, where you get to write one of your burning questions about the Orisha traditions, and there is a chance that your question will be answered here. I hope that you enjoy this mini episode. With that, let's get this going. Angela asks, is it true that a person can be scratched into the religion instead of completely becoming a priest? Angela, first of all, thank you so much for writing to us. I am hoping to shed some light on this for you. If you mean getting scratched into the Orisha traditions, unless there is some news of something I haven't heard, that does not exist. Let's talk about what it is to be scratched. I don't know if you know what it means. So for that, it means becoming a priest into the Palo Mayombe religion. It does not mean that you are a priest in the Orisha traditions, but you still become a priest. Question is, where are you destined to be? Are you destined to be a palera? Palera is a female person who has been scratched into the palo traditions, palera. Or do you have to just be an Orisha priestess? Or are you destined for both? Or are you destined to be a palera and not an Orisha priestess? Or are you not destined for either, but are destined to be a follower? I don't know if that makes any sense. But there are many variables into the whole scratching thing. Here are a couple more things for you. Some may be questions, some may be some thoughts. Are you wondering if you could just get scratched because it is considerably cheaper than becoming an Orisha priestess? That's a very big question. Here's another one. Are you considering getting scratched because you have a true affinity to the Palo Mayombe traditions? How do you know that? Have you been to a tambor in Palo? What messages have you received in that tradition from the eguns and the spirits that have come down in that event? Oh, another one. Before I even get to the one that I was about to say, have you been read in that tradition. Now we're going to the other one. You're going to be dealing with the dead quite often, and there are still protocols, still lots of learning, still different. Oh, and very important, a different way of divining and a different language altogether. It's a different set of spirits and deities. You'll basically be learning another tradition, just like you would need to learn about the Orisha and how things are done in not only that tradition, but in the branch that you choose. Same thing in Palo. It's just different. But Palo is not the Orisha traditions. Another one for you. How long have you been dealing with the Palo Mayombe tradition? And in that time, your dealings with the palero or a palera, has it brought you good fortune? It's important to really have together whether you're destined to be in that priesthood. Do you think that being scratched is what you will need for your development? Or here's a hard question. Are you just trying to come into that tradition because it might be an easier route? Because there is no such thing. It's a lot of learning. Everyone has their own destiny and their own road. Part of walking or jogging or running this road is figuring out which streets you're going to turn on. This is done through divination and experiencing different traditions until something absolutely clicks. I'm going to give you more stuff to think about as well. Some people think that Palo is bad. They consider it the darker part of Orisha worship. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Palo is different. It's just different altogether. And a big and, I'm sure you know this, but there are good priests and bad priests in all traditions. I think that you may need to go back and take a look at the why you would be considering scratching into the Orisha traditions, because there is no such thing. I think you might need to go back and to really evaluate what it means to be in the Orisha traditions and in the Palo traditions, because they're two separate entities with a lifetime of learning on each. And then figure out, maybe I'm not meant to be a priest of either and just a follower. Maybe Palo is going to be my thing. And I know paleros that's all. And they're very happy there. That is where they belong. Their life is prosperous. They're very great people. They are not what TV shows them to be. And they're very happy being there. And that's okay. There are some people who are scratched and are not a priest in the Orisha community, and they're very happy doing that. They're followers, they may have their warriors, they may have other things, but they're not priests, and that's perfect. That's perfect. You just have to find your combination. Oh, and there are people who will go to Palo if for a reading or to get something, but they don't have anything in it, and they may have stuff in the Orisha, and that's it. And that works for them. So there are so many variables and combinations. The challenge for you is going to have to be to find which one suits you. If it is about the money, we have discussed this a million times, but we'll do it 1,000,001. If you need to become a priest in the Orisha traditions, yes, it is expensive. No, there is no cutting or trying to, minimize the cost. If you're going to be a priest, and that also has additional costs, but it's still going to be considerably less. Either or, it's still a lot of work. It's still going to be money spent. And before anybody makes any type of jump like that, it is wise to really be sure of what you're about to do and the reasons why. There you go, Angela. I hope that you found the response useful in your journey. I can't thank you enough for the time that you took to ask this question. Really, I appreciate it. To all our wonderful community, I hope that you enjoyed today's Ask a Priest episode as well. Did you like it? Let me know by leaving a comment and, of course, by sharing it. I also would like to ask that if you have just 5 minutes, please leave a review in iTunes, as these reviews are really helpful into keeping the Orisha Wisdom Podcast on the map. Do you have a burning question that you've been dying to ask a priest? I finally got a great way to gather your questions so that they don't get lost in the different threads on Facebook and private messages and my emails. Yes, you can still pop into Facebook and ask a question, but now I have a very special way of getting your question that is super, super easy for me to get to it, and there's no noise before it. All you have to do is go to www.orishawisdom.com/ask a priest. No dashes, just ask a priest. I'm very excited to finally have a place to keep all of your incoming questions nice and organized, and I cannot wait to see your questions. I'm sure you know this, but in case you don't, if we decide to tackle your question and I do not know the answer because I don't have all of the answers, I will find it. And that will be a teaching moment, not just for you, for your brothers and sisters who as well may be wondering about your question, but also for me. So the link again is www.orishawisdom.com/ask a priest. If you liked this episode, like it, comment, and of course, share it. And if you're on YouTube, like the episode and subscribe. How do you do that? Click on the little bell icon so that you'll be the first to know when there is a new video uploaded. I will link you to the YouTube channel on the show notes so that you don't have to worry about a thing. We have reached the end of this episode, and I like these types of questions because it may be questions that are working on people's minds. So thank you so much for hanging in there till the very, very end. For show notes, go to www.orishawisdom.com/39, the number 3, the number 9. Stay tuned for the next couple of episodes as we are going to tackle a few more of your questions and deal with something that is a big challenge among the priests in these traditions. I wonder what it could be. Stay tuned to find out. Until next time, may the elevated ancestors and all Orisha bless you immensely. Odabo!
Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes at orishawisdom.com/podcast. Can't get enough of Orisha Wisdom? Check us out at orishawisdom.com and subscribe to our community. Remember, the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha is all around us. Be blessed, and until next time.